horse evolved in North America approximately 2 to 3 million years ago.
The oldest modern-day horse fossil to date was found in current-day Idaho.
Scientists suggest that a few million years later, after the Ice Age and around 10,000 years ago, horses went completely extinct in North America and were not present in the continent until reintroduction by European settlers. However, this theory has recently been heavily disputed, as further research has suggested that some horses survived beyond the Ice Age and remained in North America before the 1500s.
This new theory, supported by Indigenous oral stories, would suggest that Indigenous people lived with horses before Europeans arrived. Stories passed down through generations of First Nations contained horses long before European contact. However, like much of Indigenous history, the truth has been painted to suit colonial mind.
What is the real history? How have Indigenous people lived with and used horses? How do Indigenous people continue to connect with and use horses? The only horse breed recognized as Indigenous to Canada is the Lac-La-Croix pony.
A small, sturdy horse with a long lifespan and an incredibly high level of intelligence. Their origin is unknown, whether they are truly Indigenous to Canada or if they are a cross between the Canadian horse, which is a French breed, and Spanish Mustangs.
These ponies lived in harmony with the Indigenous communities. The Indigenous people would herd the ponies up and bring them into their villages and camps for winter. They would feed and house them and use them for work. Then in the spring, before the ice melted, many of the ponies would be released.
Indigenous uses for horses, though not exclusively the Lac-La-Croix ponies, often included using them for transportation, work on farms, or for faster hunting. Horses were often ridden bareback or with light equipment.
However, colonization has had a huge impact on the Lac-La-Croix ponies, as well as Indigenous horsemanship.
The Lac-La-Croix pony was nearly wiped out after the population was reduced to 4.
Indigenous horsemanship was also affected by colonial influence, as many Indigenous trainers have molded to the colonial methods and the cowboy mentality. Slowly, true traditional Indigenous horsemanship is being lost. Indigenous work with horses varies greatly from traditional European techniques and ideologies. It focuses on treating the horse like an individual and an equal instead of a lesser being or an object.
It focuses on listening to the horse, reading its body language, and understanding what it is telling you. Traditionally, the horse was considered to be a gift from the Creator, which was given as a spiritual companion.
The horse has also always been viewed as a kind soul. That a horse's spirit is so kind that it will overcompensate the human's ineptitude with loyalty, irrespective of the technique.
That being said, Indigenous trainers have always stayed away from certain techniques. The term breaking is used most commonly by white trainers, meaning breaking in the horse, so it becomes submissive and listens to the trainer. Indigenous methods focus on nurturing the horse's spirit instead of breaking it, and finding an equitable and reciprocal relationship between the partners. The point is that the horse wants to work with you, not that it is forced to. A current-day Indigenous-born trainer who follows traditional natural horsemanship is Tom Droucher. He is a well-known Canadian horse whisperer, though he insists that horse training is far more about listening than telling. He was born, raised, and lives on the Fishing Lake Métis settlement in Frog Lake. Kamau Kapo is another Indigenous horse trainer who believes in traditional Indigenous views and ideologies. He works with youth, running 2 different horse programs that focus on building confidence and respect in the kids, letting them connect with nature and the horses.
Though traditional horsemanship and Indigenous connection to horses is dying out, there are still many ways that horses are part of Indigenous communities.
One way is through equine-assisted therapy or learning. These programs are a way for Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth alike to connect with and learn from horses. In these programs, the horse is a teacher and a healer. Horses are particularly important and well-suited for therapeutic processes due to their ability to sense and respond to human emotions.
Another current Indigenous use of horses is for sport. Indian horse relay
is a dangerous event in which a rider gallops a horse bareback once around a track, jumps off, jumps onto a new horse, and does the lap again. Saddleless and helmetless, rallies are dangerous sports, currently competed in at the Calgary Stampede. It's safe to say that, whether or not horses existed in North America before the 1500s, they certainly have been an important part of Indigenous culture. Though Indigenous horsemanship has been slowly dying due to colonization, rising living prices, and of course the invention of the combustion engine, there are still a select few who are determined to keep the spirit of horsemanship alive. They will teach their ways to others and spread their knowledge. We must hope that this is enough to keep the partnership between the human spirit and the horse spirit strong hereafter.